It's on air. Okay, we are live. So we are running in conflict against the weekly space hangout tonight. If you're watching this live, thank you so much for joining us. And if you're watching us after the fact, thank you so much for joining us later. So this will eventually get trimmed off the front of the show. I'm just checking that all of our streams are working. Yes, all of our streams are working. Okay, so I'm going to do the real beginning in just a couple of seconds. Hello and welcome to the Center for Lunar Science and Exploration 16th Hangout on Air. We've been doing this roughly once a month for 2 years now, and it seems like we're just getting started. But that's because we do this once a month. So really only 16 episodes, which means you can binge watch all of them in a day and go out. And I encourage you to do this. And I encourage you to press subscribe on our channel, and you will catch all the lunar goodness. So tonight we are actually going to be bringing you information on how you, yes, you can go out and participate in a global lunar festival. We don't call it a festival, we just call it Observe the Moon Night. And with me is one of the main organizers, Andrea Jones, and as always, my co-host, Andy Shaner. So before we get started, do you have any announcements or anything that you want to make, Andy?
Just like to say, hey, thanks for being here. Oh, and I have a little kid now. I'm a dad as of the end of June. So that's exciting.
It is an adorable child, and I will not embarrass you by holding up your child's photo on the internet because it's the internet. So congratulations, and we're so glad that your family let you take tonight off to join us on the internet. So many thanks to your in-laws for babysitting this evening. And with me is also, as I said, Andrea Jones. She is at Goddard Space Flight Center and has been part of International Observe the Moon Night since the very beginning back in 2009, and has been leading it for what, the last 3 years now?
Something like that, yeah. It's too bad I don't remember these numbers more specifically.
So tell us about International Observe the Moon Night, and what is it that you're hoping all of us will join you in doing this year?
Of course. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be here. It's always fun to hang out with Andy and Pamela any night, but especially with all of you as well. So International Observe the Moon Night, as Pamela said, is a festival. It's a global celebration of lunar science and exploration, as well as a connection that we all have to the moon with our language, with our culture, with our personal memories and connections. This evening, I was eating dinner out on our porch with my family, and my daughter, who's 3 years old, saw the moon and pointed and was like, moon, 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 moon. So she's 3 and she already knows how fabulous the moon is. So it's something that is just inherent in us. And so we like to take an opportunity each year to have everybody who's excited about the moon on Earth get out and look together. And some things that are kind of fun about International Observe the Moon Night, other than the title, because actually even from the beginning, I never liked that it was International Observe the Moon Night, because the moon is out just as much during the day as it is at night. We just don't pay attention to it. But you can actually see it in the afternoon and early evening of October 28th, which is this year's International Observe the Moon Night date. And anyone anywhere can go out and look at the moon anytime. But on this particular day, we try to provide you with some resources that may help you if you want to look at the moon that day and maybe have an event at your library, your field near your house, your backyard, wherever you happen to be. And we have a moon map that shows you some resources that, or sorry, shows you some features that you might be able to see on the moon. But really, it's just a time to celebrate the discoveries we've made in the past year. And this year, I'm sorry, I'm talking for a very long time here. This year, we're particularly celebrating the link between eclipses and the moon. Imagine how that works out. So many of you may have seen, if you're in the United States or came to visit, on August 21st, we had a total solar eclipse. And that was pretty exciting if you got to see it. And so we are trying to keep that momentum going and saying, hey, you saw the moon during the eclipse? Well, there is another chance to look at the moon on October 28th altogether. And there's going to be a deep lunar eclipse in January, which is pretty cool. And there are, eclipses coming up, another total solar eclipse in 2019 in South America. There's another eclipse in the United States, another solar eclipse in 2024. And there are lunar eclipses, about every few months. So we really just wanted to let people continue to learn about eclipses through this event. So we're going to be putting a lot of eclipse resources up on our website specific for this year. So go out, learn about the moon. That's what it's all about.
So I've been sharing with the folks out there watching your website, which has a fairly long and complicated URL for which we apologize to everyone.
But only for the next day, starting tomorrow, hopefully, it'll just be observethemoonnight.org.
So observethemoonnight.org is your way to go tap in to all this fabulous information, learn more, find out how you can get involved. And this truly is an international event with people registering events all around the planet. And this makes for a really amazing social media page because you can watch moonrise move across the world as the world rotates.
Yes. Yeah, so we always select a date for International Observe the Moon Night that is in the fall. We actually thought of doing it this summer in association with the eclipse, just right before the eclipse in the US. But everyone revolted. All the hosts didn't like that. And so if you are a host, we appreciate your feedback, and we responded and switched it to the fall. Because it seems to be on people's calendar, and we really appreciate that. And so we heard you, and we moved it back to the fall, but we still wanted to maintain that eclipse connection this year because, eclipses are visible around the globe, and it's not just something from the US. We've spent a lot of time on that here, but everyone everywhere, can have an opportunity to see a lunar eclipse. And if you're really lucky, you might see a solar eclipse in your lifetime, or you might hop on a plane and see a few if you've got a bigger budget than me. But
So I'm trying to bring this up in Stellarium so that we can go ahead and take a look at what that day will look like. So if I appear to be looking off in strange directions with changing lighting, that's what's going on in the background. It turns out that my computer runs very slowly.
Well, I'm really glad that you're bringing that up. So while you are, I'll mention that, we definitely 100% encourage you to anytime go out and look at the moon with your naked eye. But on International Observer Moon Night, that's a perfectly wonderful way to look at the moon. If you have telescopes or binoculars, look at it with them. See if you can get an astronomy club to help you do that. But otherwise, if it's raining where you are, there are all these online tools that you can use, and Stellarium's one way, or, moon mappers, of course, or there, on our website, we have galleries of images from the Air and Space Museum that our LRO camera team worked with the museum to create. So there's also Quick Map from the LRO camera team. There's Moon Trek. There are lots of different ways to, see the moon, look at the moon, observe the moon, and learn about the moon online, or through art or songs or poetry or paintings. There's just lots of ways to observe the moon.
So what's your favorite way to observe the moon, especially where you're going to be with a lot of people who may not realize, for instance, that the moon's up during the day?
Yes. So my favorite moon observation comes from when Andy and I were leading a lunar workshop in Mississippi. Do you remember that, Andy?
Yeah.
Yes. That was amazing. So do you want to tell the story or should I tell the story?
You go ahead in case I forget parts. But yeah, I know I remember. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, so we led a workshop for science teachers in Mississippi who didn't believe the moon was out during the day. And to make, perhaps too long of a story shorter, essentially they didn't believe that it was out there. We took them outside and it was a crescent phase of the moon at that time. And Andy found it, pointed it out to them. We brought all the teachers out and they looked and they started screaming and whooping and hollering and pointing. They stopped traffic. They had people pouring out of the library to see it. The campus police stopped and asked what was going on. And they were just screaming that they could see the moon during the day. And it was awesome. It was so awesome. I don't know how much else we accomplished that week, but they knew that the moon was out during the day and we got it. So that was great. So yeah, having that, misconception just be totally shut down or contradicted is something that's really, really fun to do.
That is the kind of thing that I never really imagined. The sheer joy that you experience, that is truly phenomenal. Yeah, I'm without words, so instead I'm just going to share the moon. So I'm using free software right now called Stellarium, and this is something that you can download no matter what operating system your computer has. And I believe they actually have versions for most mobile devices. You can see here I am on a Mac with far too many windows open. There we go. And this is the phase that we're going to be at, where you can see all of these beautiful craters along this is called the terminator, that point between the lit side of the moon and the shadowed side of the moon. And with the sunlight coming in at an angle, it makes all of these craters stand out more. So if you think about it, if the sun's straight down, you don't have these shadows helping you see where the edges of the craters are. Now, if I zoom out, I can start to see it's hopefully going to be a night where you can start to see, here's the Milky Way. There's going to be Saturn fairly low on the horizon. If you go outside around 7:40 local time, we're starting to still have bits of the summer triangle, but we're losing it. But having this whole Milky Way that you can look out on will give, if you're in a dark sky, this really amazing experience to everyone who's there visiting. I hope I'm not making any of you motion sick with my crazy tour of the sky here.
I'm really glad you're pointing this out, Pamela, because people sometimes ask us why we don't select a full moon date for International Observe the Moon Night, at least not typically. Excuse me. And that is because viewing the moon is really most exciting along that terminator line where it's sunrise and sunset. You're looking at that point where if you were to take pictures, of the Grand Canyon, you might want to do that at sunrise or sunset because the shadows are so beautiful. Same as on the moon, you can really get a sense for that moon as another world with a landscape that you can imagine when you're looking along that terminator in particular. So we do that really on purpose, in addition to it being visible at a nice time of day. But we also really like to highlight International Observe the Moon Night as an opportunity to look beyond the moon, certainly to celebrate the moon as our nearest celestial neighbor, but also the moon is connecting us to the solar system and beyond. So really by looking up at the moon and wanting to explore it, that might, who knows, maybe that helped us become a spacefaring people. So we really are excited to give people the opportunity, if you have an event or you have a telescope or a pair of binoculars, definitely look at the moon, but then see what else is out there. There are so many great things to see that evening, hopefully.
And one of the things that's fabulous about October, to go back to this map, is you have over here in the southwest setting fairly early in the evening. So get out right after sunset. You have over here the constellation Sagittarius. And the constellation Sagittarius is kind of amazing because it's where the heart of the Milky Way is. It's filled with these amazing nebulas and star clusters. And if you go out with binoculars, you can go from looking at the moon to just looking a little bit lower on the horizon, and suddenly you can tell people here where you're starting to see weird fuzzy things that you can just barely make out in your peripheral vision. This is called averted vision. We actually can see fainter objects when we don't look straight at them because, well, this protects you from things that are trying to eat you late at night. Our vision is adapted to prevent us from being eaten, which means our side vision is great for looking for faint fuzzies in the sky. And when you look at Sagittarius and you avert your vision slightly, all these things pop out. And you can tell people you're looking at the core of our galaxy. You're looking at, well, where there's a black hole. And as you look around the sky, there's the only galaxy that is visible to the naked eye if you're in a dark site is over here off of Andromeda. I forget which of these stars it's located off of. I'm a bad astronomer sometimes. But there it is. It's right off this second star. It's 2 binocular fields off. You can zoom in and take a look. There it is. And with binoculars, this pops out. This is an object that you can see there's something fuzzy if you're in a dark site and you look with just your eyes. But in binoculars, it will fill the entire field of view of your binoculars because Andromeda is actually 6 times the width of the moon. So here's a chance for you to go outside and not just say, hey, let's look at the moon. And I've advanced the date here by accident. Sorry about that. Let's go out and look at the moon. I seriously advanced it. Don't trust me to type and talk simultaneously. So let's go out, let's look at the moon. But in addition to going out and looking at the moon, you can, in Sagittarius, look at the heart of our galaxy. And then up in Andromeda, look at the only galaxy that you can see with your unaided eye. That's a fancy way of saying that every other bright object in the sky that your eyes can see, every point of light, every fuzzy blob on the sky is in the Milky Way. This is the one and only thing in the entire universe that you can see with your eyes that isn't in our own galaxy. And all in one night, you can see all of this at once. So beyond seeing the moon, what other things are you looking forward to doing that night? I know we tend to celebrate International Observe the Moon Night at a custard stand. There's lots of different places you can celebrate. This year, we're actually going to be in our offices in downtown Edwardsville, celebrating with our community. What are you going to be doing? What are you going to be introducing people to? Andy, why don't I go to you down in Houston?
So we're going to be set up. Usually we're set up here at LPI, the Lunar Planetary Institute. But this year we're going to head down to a park that's near downtown Houston. And so until about a month ago, it wasn't that big of a deal. But it's kind of a big deal now because it's, things are starting to kind of come back to normal after Hurricane Harvey. And so I think it's a great chance to get out in that part of the city that was
wet,
under 10 feet of water, if not more, and just get out and, like Andrea said, be this community again. And Houston has a huge international population from all these different places. So in that sense too, it can really be a truly international event just right here in the middle of Houston.
So what about you, Andrea? What will you be doing?
Yeah, we will be hosting an event at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. And We do that in a variety of different ways. This year, we're particularly highlighting eclipses. So we're going to have Ernie Wright, who, if any of you saw some of the pretty amazing NASA visualizations for the 2017 solar eclipse, there's an entire gallery on the NASA Scientific Visualization Studio website. Excuse me, and Ernie made most of them. So he's going to be there talking a little bit more about those visualizations and answering questions people may have about solar eclipses and the mechanics behind them. And also he will be unveiling his map for 2024. So that's coming up. We are also going to have the chief scientist of NASA Goddard come and give a talk about NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter mission and the recent science results, and looking towards, other connections to exciting planetary science. And then I am thinking that this year we will be having a Women of the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter panel. So we're going to pull some of our operations team, some of our education team, some of our science team, engineering teams, all of them have representation from super amazing women. So we're going to do that as well. Now we have a number of hands-on activities. We have a local high school coming that has their rocketry club, going to do launching little straw rockets with kids there. We're having an adult rocketry community club come and show off their model rockets. We're going to have, an earth science team talking about the Globe Observer app that is relevant for eclipses and anytime you're making observations. We're going to have a lot of different little pieces that all mix together, because something we really try to do is represent LRO, which is the main funder of International Observe the Moon Night, as well as Goddard, since we're doing the event there, and then really our local community. We really have a lot of fun asking different groups to come in and just share, with visitors what's going on and how they're connected to the moon as well.
And you bring up a really good point about the heritage of International Observe the Moon Night. It really started back in 2009, which was the year that we had LRO beginning to return science results, when we had, I believe it, LROC that careened into the surface with great purpose and stirred up a cloud of debris that allowed us to realize that there was water on the moon. And that was something that was largely spoken about by Jennifer Heldman. And there's been all sorts of different science from all sorts of different people that started back in 2009, which was also the International Year of Astronomy. And the combination of LRO, of International Observe the Moon Night, of the International Year of Astronomy, all of these things coming together at once, we kind of started a movement. And this was also when I think all of us were really starting our careers. So we kind of grew up with this project, which I think gives it a sweet spot to all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, International Observe the Moon Night was inspired by our desire to celebrate LRO going into orbit insertion around the moon. So we launched in June of 2009, and we're pretty excited about getting there successfully. And LCROSS, yes, launched with us. It's our sister spacecraft, and we were trying to figure out a good spot for it to crash into the moon, and we did. Turns out it worked out really well. But we actually thought, because of the interest and enthusiasm for those events, that we would start a national Observe the Moon Night. And we had that for about 2 weeks until the international community said, no, we want to play too. So, we never had a national Observe the Moon Night. It immediately became International Observe the Moon Night.
And it's been fabulous history ever since, and has been growing every year. And what's neat is all the photos that have been captured about this, and this is largely your doing, Andy. Can you tell us a little bit about the Flickr work that you've been putting together to get everyone to be able to share their photos?
Yeah, so after an event, we invite everybody to we send you to a Flickr group page that anybody can add their pictures to, and then we have been basically just funneling those into the Observe the Moon Night website. So anybody, you don't have to have a Flickr account. You can just go in, upload them, and share them. And if you do, please remember to include like who we should credit for those pictures. Should we decide to use it in some of our stuff? Let us know where it is and who took the picture.
Yeah,
And go ahead.
If I might, I just want to, we've been talking a lot about events. I just want to assure everyone that's listening in here, an event is a very nebulous term. So just to remind you, anyone, anywhere can host what we consider an event. My parents have an event each year on their back porch, and they go out and they look at the moon from their chairs, and that's great. So it can be something that's as simple as you going out in your backyard and maybe downloading the moon map and looking to see what you can see, to, you know, a Girl Scout troop or an astronomy club, or, you know, a giant planetarium or a NASA center or a huge event. There's one in Mexico that has tens of thousands of people, and that's wonderful. But it's not necessary. It's just whatever resources you have available, whatever expertise you have or can partner to find, and then just getting out, looking at the moon, trying to talk about it. It can be a purely art-based event. I mean, if you just want to draw pictures of the moon or take pictures or, you know, recite poetry, like, we consider that to be part of this community. So we just want to connect people around the world with this. We provide some resources on our website, but you do with that what you would like, and just let us know that you're participating so that we can show, you know, the world how much interest there is in the moon, and that we're all together in this. And I think that's really fun.
And so I'm currently clicking through some of the pictures from 2016. So hopefully you can get a sense of, this is the entire world getting involved and really having an amazing celebration that involves everything from making moons out of paper to listening to lectures to taking your own photos, some of which will be amazing and some of which will be somewhat artistic, but they're yours. And I just love this one particular photo, which is at an outdoor event where they're projecting the moon up onto a sphere. And it's just cool. It's just cool. So everyone go out and enjoy. So we're starting to run out of time. If you had just one final thing that you wanted to share out with the audience, what would that be, Andrea?
I would just say thank you so much for your interest in this by listening in. And I definitely hope that you be a part of this and go on to our website, observethemoonnight.org, see if there are resources that are helpful to you. Go follow NASA Moon, a brand new Twitter account that we just launched that is going to be talking all about International Observe the Moon Night, or use our hashtag #ObserveTheMoon. And we really hope that you be a part of this and let us know about it, and let us know if there are things that we can provide to you to help you out.
And since this is the Saturday before Halloween, I'm guessing a lot of you out there are going to be thinking, that's a good night for a Halloween party. Yep. And why don't you do like a moon-themed Halloween party? Get your werewolf on and howl at the moon and celebrate the science at the same time.
And send us
fun with this.
We totally want to see your Halloween party lunar observing. Please share that with us.
So have a great party, and remember to go out, look up, and celebrate this one sky that we share and this one moon that hopefully we're going to get back onto pretty soon, using the maps that have images taken by LRO and have details mapped out by you with moon mappers at cosmoquest.org. So before we sign off, Andy, anything to say about what's coming up in the future?
Well, I don't have any definite speakers yet, but I am hoping to nab for next month somebody who just co-authored a paper that's coming out very, very soon about the possibility of an actual, not exosphere, but an atmosphere around the moon. About
very thin, very, very thin.
Yeah, well, yes. Actually, from what I understand, is if this works out, it would actually been thicker than or more dense than Mars' atmosphere today. It was only around for a certain amount of time, but so I'm going to see if we can get
So
that.
long ago, not current.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. About
I think we need that clarification.
Yes, that
Yes.
info was missing.
Oh, sorry. Yes, not currently. No, this is back between 3 and 4 billion years ago.
All right, thanks.
But
yeah, so everything I know about the moon is wrong.
And that's
see,
also
wasn't it a great pitch to get people to come to that webinar?
And that's when it had active volcanism. So like an atmosphere with volcanoes and awesome stuff. So cool. Everyone, come back next month and we shall speak of cool, weird stuff that no human being was around to observe. But now we get to understand thanks to science. So that's it. That's all we've got. And thank you. And remember to click subscribe and share this out to all of your friends. So have a great morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. And we'll see you next month.